And we're back again with another video, and today I want to talk about the laughable incentives, and I want to give you all a warning to be careful and don't fall for the upcoming and frankly current incentives that are out there being offered on any of the Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, or Ram products. Obviously, if it's a Ram product, the incentives are insane. I got a hold of, through Butter the Insider, just a copy of all of March's incentives, and I'm hoping he gets a hold of the future incentives as they come, just to see what Stellantis and Dodge are doing, and Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram are doing to try to incentivize us to go buy their cars. Well, the first problem is none of their incentives appeared to qualify for anything Scat Pack and above. So anything above from a Scat Pack and up, there's just nothing. So that would explain why what remaining amount of those cars that are sitting on lots, wildly overpriced, are not selling. And they're leaving it completely up to the dealerships to reduce those prices. Well, very rarely, actually never, do I share any sympathy for the dealerships. Yet, I do have an affinity for a couple dealerships that have done me very fairly, and the salesman was very honest, and I've established a friendship with, and that was Max at Orange Coast Dodge in Costa Mesa, California. The dude has been honest with me. Every time I go in there, he's straight up like, make me an offer. He never changes the script. If your money's real, you're ready to boogie, you want to do a deal, tell me what you're willing to pay, and I will fight like hell to get it done. And that, to me, means, and has proven to mean, that I can get a really good deal on a car depending on a lot of factors. And let me share this with you all. End of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year, oversupply of a certain model, certain days on the market. These are reasons why dealers will shift from day to day. If you're sitting at the end of the month and they have had a horrible month and they need to get some deals in, then you might get a really good deal. But the only way to get a deal, and I've said this 1,001 times on my videos, is not to call and start trying to negotiate on the phone. It's to go into that dealership. You can find the car online. You can call and make sure it's available. And then you can go into that dealership ready, willing, and able to run your credit and ask them not to shotgun you. Show up with your pre-approval with your credit union. Offer them to do the loan if they can beat the loan through one bank, maybe two, but don't shotgun me. And tell them, this is what I'm willing to pay. For example, in my April Fool's Day video, which, wow, you find out how many people don't watch the whole video before they start commenting. So yes, some of you lost your ever-loving minds when you thought about a Hornet. Some of you were extremely intelligent and knew that there's no possible way in God's green earth that I would ever be caught dead driving a Hornet. But some of you lost your minds, and it was freaking hilarious. So thank you for the laugh on April Fool's Day. But anyways, when I was there, I had said, if I got 1,500 likes, I'd come back if it was still available and maybe buy that black Charger Hellcat with the sepia interior. To me, that's like almost the perfect spec. It's gorgeous. I mean, next to indigo blue or sublime green, I mean, a black with the sepia interior, what a gorgeous car that was. And you all blew past the 1,500 likes. You got to 2,000 likes. So that means that I should go back and buy that car. Well, I've been doing the math because, of course, that car is stuck in my head. Two things that are the problem. One, I love my Swinger. I'd hate to get rid of my Swinger. This thing is just awesome. But there's no way I can fit any more cars, especially in this new house we're in. And there's no way I can justify paying for these extra cars. So I would have to get rid of this to get that. So then I started to crunch the math. And what I realized is the only way that $91,000 sticker even makes any sense to me is if either I got a 4% interest rate. Actually, not either. I would need both of these. A 4% interest rate and at least a $5,000 to $6,000 reduction. Or, and this is the either or part, or I would need them to come down to $80,000 on that car. from $91,000, because I believe that car is barely worth $80,000. Now, I can believe that and just never get one, right? Never get that car, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being greedy. Maybe I'm, unrealistic with my expectations of what a car is worth. But I'll tell you right now, at a maybe $11,000 discount, at $80,000, considering I paid about $83,000 for my red-eye in 2020, yes, we've had inflation, and yes, Dodge has wildly increased their MSRP prices. I do believe that the way things ebb and flow in our economy, that things are rapidly headed back to look like early 2020 era when it comes to cars, meaning dealers, manufacturers are going to have to offer incentives and dramatically discount their prices to get us to buy these cars. They were never $100,000 cars. They were never worth $100,000. That's a lot of money for a car. I bought, 3 or 4 S-Classes and 7 Series BMWs over my career as a executive business person, and those cars were close to $100,000 cars, and almost somewhat justifiable because they were high-end, ultra-luxury cars. These are not. Yet they got there, and we went crazy for one reason: interest rates. Interest rates. And of course, scarcity drove a lot of decisions. But back to the price in the Hellcat. I need to get down to $80,000. Well, I'll tell you, without any incentives from the manufacturer, for the dealer to go there, the dealer's going to have to go into the red and make nothing on that car. Now, that's still not a bad thing. Even if they lost money on the car, they might be better off than having the car sitting there costing them money every single month on their floor plan. I saw a post from the car dealership guy showing the shift from one dealership where they had a credit in their floor plan costs all the way to almost an $80,000 swing in expense. So if they want to just get the things off their lot and stop having to pay for them, it would make sense. So my thought, Max, if you're watching, is to tender an offer to Max that I will buy that car for $80,000, assuming that you're fair with me on my Scat Pack. But Brad, you want it both ways. You want max money on your Scat Pack and, super low money on their car. No, I want a fair price for their car, which I believe that is a fair price. And I believe that, getting $60,000 out of my Scat Pack is fair, considering they're charging $70,000, almost $67,000, $68,000 for these things, and this is only 6 months old. So that means that there's a very small likelihood that that deal takes place. But I will send this to Max and say, Max, if you want to do the deal, if the car's still there, which I believe it is, well, then let's get down and roll in the dirt. But here's what I wanted to share with you all on these incentives, is just understand that when you see 4.9% or 3.9%, that almost every time Dodge does this, and this sheet that I've got right here was showing that in March, some of the incentives were, let me see here, for like Durangos, they were offering 6.9 for 72 months, which at a $50,000 price, you're still looking at about $850, $900 a month, and that's just paying the minimum drive-offs like tax and license to get to roll in that car. But then you see 4.9% for 36 months. Let me explain to you what that means. That means for a $50,000 car, you're going to pay $1,450 a month. And you're going to put just the minimum down, just the drive-offs, just tax and license, $5,000 or something, $6,000. So why in the hell would anybody in the world want to finance this is an RT Durango for 36 months at almost $1,500 a month? I pay $1,600 a month for my Lamborghini. Why would anybody want to do that? It would make no sense. So when they offer these short-term financing loans or these really low interest rates at short-term, ignore them. Just know when you go in there, it's a bait and switch. It's not even an illegal bait and switch, because they say in the fine print that it's 4.9% for 36 months if you read that. But a lot of times they'll quote the payments up there and try to track you with those payments. So then you call up and they say, yeah, it's for 36 months. And then you're like, well, what's that payment? Well, you're going to pay $1,500 a month for a friggin' RT. Like, there's no way in God's green earth you're going to do that. So that means that they need to offer massive incentives, and some of these incentives were only $2,930. Again, none of them for scat packing up. These are RTs, GTs, and SXTs. They're offering $3,600, $3,000, $4,250 for lease bonus cash on RT and Citadel V8. So this is all like pissing on a wildfire. It's not enough because they raise these prices so astronomically high. But I'll tell you what cars you can get a deal on. If you want an SXT right now, man, you should be able to fight with the dealers. But also be careful with the discounts, the huge discounts they show in their ads. And they'll show these big $10,000 discounts off the price. But just know this, that when you get there, there's a high likelihood you aren't going to qualify for any of those. When they say military bonus cash or military rebate, I'm military. I spent 4 years in the Air Force during the Gulf War, and I've walked into these dealerships and said, can I get the $500 off for the military discount? No, you have to actively be in the military. So that's not happening. And when I was in the military, I actively couldn't afford to buy a damn thing because you don't make much money in the military. God bless those guys, but they don't make enough money anyways. So they got a discount that most people won't qualify for, and if they do qualify for it, there's a chance they can't afford the car anyways. So the point of this video is be cautious. All these incentives, it's too little, too late. It's peeing on a wildfire. It's not enough. They've got to get the MSRP back to, I hate to say this, back to probably around 2020 numbers, because that's just how it is. Screw inflation. That doesn't matter. As much as Stellantis has laid off people and cut their costs, expenses, and everything else, they should be able to do that. And they need to offer these incentives to help dealers, because the only way dealers are going to be able to come off these prices is either with huge incentives or to take losses. Because when you start talking about a $10,000 to $11,000 discount on these cars without manufacturer incentives, the dealers are dipping into the negative realm. They're not able to make money. And yes, at full price MSRP, they were making money. But I've also seen what these dealers have paid for the cars. I had one dealer share with me, and he says, look, Dodge raised our prices on these cars. They're not giving us any ability to make any money on these cars without doing markups. And after I shed a tear and threw my Kleenex down and gave him a big hug, I said, that's not my problem. And I'm sorry to sound that way, but adding markups to already inflated prices is utterly stupid. So I feel their pain, but unfortunately that's their problem with Dodge. They need to figure this out with the manufacturer. They need to start screaming to the manufacturer that they need these prices dropped. They need MSRP prices dropped. They need massive incentives, not $3,000 on a $40,000 or $50,000 car. It's going to take a lot more than that. And certainly they need to add these incentives to the SRT cars, because frankly no one is paying $90,000, $100,000 for these cars anymore. They're just not. And if you are, you're walking into a buzzsaw of massive depreciation and upside down mathematics on that car. So be careful out there. So with that, everybody, that's the crazy incentives that we've been seeing. They're just too little, too late. Discounts have to come. Dodge has to get in alignment with Stellantis on what they're going to offer, and you all have to stay strong. And if you want an SXT or a GT, just know the long list of incentives that makes it look like the car is going to be $23,000. Most of those you probably won't qualify for. So I would ask over the phone before you go driving down there, what exactly are those discounts for? What do I have to do to qualify? Well, you got to use our financing. You got to stand on one leg. You got to pat your head. You got to rub your belly. You know, all these things you got to do. Jump through hoops, do somersaults in my parking lot, and sing show tunes in my showroom floor. I mean, what do you got to do to be able to get those deals? And at that point, maybe even still go in there and just make your offer at that price and walk if they don't go there. But don't cave in and don't think because you don't qualify that you can't get the discount. They're just going to have to eat it. And believe me, with all the SXTs and GTs out there, you should be able to steal that thing either way. So with that, everybody, hope this video is helpful. Stay strong out there. Don't fall for the dealership stories. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.